Margaret and Kelvin were having a good time, kissing, smooching and cuddling. The city below them slept in the arms of night, unaware of the silent storm unfolding in the heart of a glass-walled office on the 39th floor. The lights of the skyline blinked like fading memories, each one a promise never kept, each one a moment too fragile to hold. Margaret closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of Kelvin's breath against her skin. His touch was gentle, unsure, almost like a man afraid to hold on too tightly to something he knew he could never truly keep. He was her boss, a billionaire, a man with the world at his feet and loneliness coiled around his heart like ivy. She was just an executive assistant, ordinary, replaceable, except, somehow, not to him. Their lips touched again, tenderly, not in hunger, but in mourning, because they both knew, this was not love in bloom, this was love in retreat. It had all started in silence. She had been working with Kelvin for almost 2 years. He rarely smiled, and when he did, it was always brief, almost accidental. He ran his empire with precision and distance, never letting emotions color his choices. But Margaret saw things others didn't. The way his fingers trembled slightly when holding a photo of his late mother. The hesitation in his eyes before approving layoffs. The weight he carried behind the billionaire's mask. She never asked questions, but she listened, and that listening became a kind of language. One day, she stayed back late, working on a project. He stayed too. They shared coffee, talked about trivial things, music, childhood books, forgotten dreams. For a moment, he wasn't a boss. He was just Kelvin, and she wasn't the assistant. She was Margaret, the girl who once dreamed of becoming a writer before life hardened her soft places. That night, a fragile thread had begun to form between them. Now, in the hush of midnight, that thread was breaking. Kelvin pulled back slightly, brushing a strand of hair from Margaret's face. His eyes were glassy, haunted. "This isn't just about tonight," he whispered. "I know," she said. He looked away, his jaw tightening. "I don't do relationships, I don't want one," she lied. It wasn't a lie to manipulate or to hold on. It was a sacrifice, a quiet one. Because she knew loving him was like falling in love with a storm. Beautiful, violent, temporary. So she kissed him again, pouring into the kiss the affection she had hidden in the spaces between the daily conversations. In the coffees she brought just the way he liked. In the way she remembered his silence more than his words. He held her like a man drowning. She wrapped herself around him like a shoreline, knowing she could not stop the sea. Hours passed in silence. They lay together on the long office couch, still clothed, but hearts bare. Kelvin's hand rested on her waist, his fingers tracing quiet patterns. She didn't ask him why he stayed. She didn't ask him about the scar near his collarbone or the weight in his size. And he didn't ask her why she cried when he kissed her neck. They existed in a pause, neither future nor past. Just the present, suspended and delicate, like a glass that could shatter at the softest touch. And yet, the most powerful thing they shared wasn't the kiss, or the embrace, or the fleeting intimacy. It was the silence that followed, that aching, shared stillness where both knew they would never be this close again. In the morning, Kelvin spoke first. "I have to go to Tokyo," he said, fixing his tie. His voice was back to business, cool, collected, distant. Margaret nodded, her eyes cast down. "Safe flight." He paused. For a second, the mask slipped. His eyes searched hers, wanting to say something, anything. But words were too fragile. Instead, he placed a single kiss on her forehead, soft as sorrow. And then he was gone. Time passed. The office was never the same. Kelvin was polite, distant. Margaret pretended nothing had changed. They worked side by side, surrounded by glass and steel and silence. But in her dreams, he still kissed her under the city lights. And in his private moments, he still thought of her as the girl who once held his pain without asking for a return. They never spoke of that night. They never spoke of the way her eyes had filled with tears as he slept beside her. Or the way his hand trembled when he touched her cheek, as if afraid she would vanish. Years later, Kelvin married. Not for love, but for alliance. A woman from a powerful family. Beautiful, cold, suitable. Margaret sent a simple gift, an expensive pen with his initials engraved. No card. He used it in board meetings, never spoke of it. She got promoted, eventually left the company, moved to a smaller city, taught writing classes, fell in love again, softly, slowly, not like a storm, but like sunlight. Still, every once in a while, she would remember that night. The office, the silence, the man who held her like he was afraid he might break her, but did so anyway. And Kelvin, he became richer, more powerful, but never more whole. He would sometimes stare out of windows, late at night, and remember a time when an ordinary woman kissed him like he was just a man. Not a billionaire, not a brand, just Kelvin. And in those rare moments, he would close his eyes and feel her one last time, her arms around him, not asking for anything except to be held. And in that memory, he found something he never had before. Peace, only once, Margaret had said, and it was enough to last a lifetime.